Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be diving into starting to understand chasing energy. So whether you are in the twin flame journey and you're identifying as a chaser, or perhaps you're in a relationship and you find yourself chasing all the time, I hope you tune in and dive into this with me. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Melissa, and this is the Sacredness Within You. I created this channel with you in mind to help you rediscover the sacredness that lies within you, this beautiful medicine and magic that is here to help you cultivate and create the life that you truly desire. And I do this by sharing my wisdom along with Reiki energy healing to help you heal both the inner masculine and inner feminine so you can come into union of self. And to be able to dance this magical dance between your two energies, but also to along the way, my goal is to help bring really deep healing to the feminine collective so we can really allow this beautiful energy to rise and emerge in our planet. And so I am a Reiki master. I am also an intuitive guide and coach for those of you that are into human design. I'm a 3/5 emotional projector. So the 3/5 part of me loves to navigate through life and experience so much so I can learn and share about my wisdom that I experience. And so you can take this and be able to apply it to your life, because I like to learn things through trial and error. Like I'll be like, oh, let me try this on myself. Let me see if this works. And then, oh, nope, this doesn't work. So I need to do this. I've done this my whole entire life in various areas of my life. And it helps me tune into the truth and how you can help navigate this journey in a much more aligned way. And the projector part of me is just a guide. I've always said that my whole life. I'm here to guide others. I'm here to help them navigate this path, because oftentimes we have too many clouds up here because we were seeking advice from others, and that wisdom and their stuff is here, and we can't really see our path forward. And I'm just here to help you remove those clouds and to align to your highest path. So let's dive in to today's video. So in the twin flame dynamic, it's really easy to see who is a chaser and who is a runner. It's really intensified in our dynamic. However, if you were to sit back and pause for a moment and look at your dynamic with your divine masculine, look at your dynamic that you've had with every single romantic relationship, and then evaluate your dynamic with your parents when you were younger. If you are the chaser, most likely you have been chasing your whole entire life. I had to sit with that for a moment to realize that I am the common denominator in all of those relationships in terms of how things manifested and what was created in that reality. I used to blame others, be like, it's their fault. And when I started seeing that I was just recreating the same person over and over and over again in a different body, it was kind of a rude awakening. And I realized, oh my gosh, it's me. It's me that's creating these things in my reality. And I couldn't see how I chased in my relationships until I met my twin. I mean, the amount that it was magnified was crazy. So if I were to think about like other relationships, like on a scale of like 1 to 100, I was chasing like at a 20. With my twin, it was like 120. It was such a dramatic difference. And it allowed me to see this. And we have to remember that the chasing energy is pushing energy. So we're pushing things away from us, actually. And what we don't realize is when we're chasing is we keep pushing it farther and farther and farther and farther away. And the reason why I'm giggling is because I remember saying one day, oh my God, I was chasing so much that I pushed my divine masculine, who was living in Mexico where I was living, I pushed him all the way to the US, back to my hometown. Like literally to my hometown where I grew up. And I was like, holy crap, I was really chasing. Because what happens is when we chase, we're pushing. So then they're the runner, so they're pulling. And he was running for the hills. He was running to another country, you know, and I can laugh now at it because I've healed that part of me. And I love that part of me because if it wasn't for her, I couldn't be who I am today. She's helped me create who I am today. And I can now just see how by me understanding that I was pushing things and diving into why I was chasing, I started healing so many layers of myself. And so I want to like take you through like an example of what it is that I do when I chase. And I am human, so I will never say that I am a guru and I know exactly what to do and I never make mistakes and that my way is the best way, because I don't feel that way at all about myself. I am human, so I make mistakes. I am imperfect, but yet perfect at the same time. And I'm always trying to deepen my level of awareness and ascend to a higher level of consciousness. So I really realize that everything is just bringing more up to the light. And so when I realized that I was a chaser, what really changed things for me, this was a beautiful gift that I received from the universe one day. Because oftentimes in the journey, we are told that if one is a chaser and one is a runner. And it's hard for us to understand the dynamic of the other because we're not in their shoes. We only can speculate and assume. And I will tell you, when we're speculating or assuming things, we're actually probably assuming from the wrong perspective, or we see things the wrong way. Because I know anytime I made the assumption, anywhere in my life, I was always wrong. Always wrong because we assume the worst. And we assume the worst, and that even can cause us to spiral into an unhealthy pattern or an unhealthy way of being. But when I realized that my divine masculine is me in another body, and you'll hear me say this over and over and over again because I really wanted to hit home. He is me in another body, and I know all of you know that. You're like, yes, we're the same soul in two different bodies. But no, I truly saw him as me. When I started seeing what I saw in him, in me, everything changed for me. Meaning, whether I label it as good or bad, whatever I could see in him was within me. So if he's running from me and I'm chasing after him, I have to say, where am I running from me? Where am I running from me? Forget about trying to figure out why he's running from you, but you have to say, where am I running from me? So not only am I chasing him, but now I'm running away from me. Like, I remember realizing that and being like, girl, you got to get it together. Like, you're kind of a hot mess right now. I love you, but you got to get your shit together. And when I realized that he was showing me all the ways I was running from me, and I was chasing after him because, oh, by the way, this is healing other parts of me from my past, like everything started to make sense. So are you with me? So as a chaser, you're chasing and running all at the same time. What a beautiful gift, right? You're probably thinking, great, now this really just got confusing because I'm chasing after somebody outside of me and I am running from myself. Like, how do I come back to myself, right? Well, the one thing that we always hear within the dynamic is the divine masculine is running because of the intensity of the dynamic and the love that he has for the divine feminine. He just can't accept that. He can't receive it, whatever it is, whatever the story it is that you hear. I don't even know anymore because I stopped really believing in that part and really watching my masculine in terms of my interactions with him. And he's probably running from the intensity, which means, where are you running from the intensity of the dynamic? Or where are you running from the intensity within your journey of awakening? Because let's face it, awakening is really challenging on its own. And then to layer in this dynamic as a twin flame, like holy shit, like you just like went from here to here, and in terms of like your ascension growth. But we signed up for that, to experience that. And so when you can look at all these parts of yourself, you start to see him as you and start thanking him for showing you these parts. But I want to talk about, I really want to start sharing with you about when I'm chasing, what it is that I did to be able to see how I was chasing, and how to start healing these parts of me where I was no longer pushing. And once I identified the big ways that I was chasing my masculine and the layers of healing that I needed to do, I needed to see things, to accept it, to heal it, and then to integrate it. I then could see all the little ways that I'm chasing, because the big stuff is gone and those little things, they kind of creep in. And so now as I could get to deepen that connection within myself and like heal these parts of me, there are still these little tiny remnants. So when you're chasing, you may or may not be aware that you are chasing him, because there are times when I'm like, I'll send a message and I'm like, holy shit, I was just chasing him. But when I recognize that I was chasing him, I have to stop and ask myself, like, I get out my notebook. If you don't have a notebook yet to do inner work and to journal, I highly encourage you to get one. Get a notebook that whatever fits your needs. I used to do fancy ones in the beginning. Now I just do these Mead 5 stars. It works perfect because there's a lot of paper. They're cheaper. Whatever floats your boat. Just get something that you can write down in, where you can spend some time reflecting and diving into this inner work. Get out of your mind and into your body, because when you're writing, stuff just comes to you out of nowhere, because you're not sitting there thinking and processing. You're actually in the present moment, and that's when things can come to surface. So you can ask yourself, why am I chasing right now? What is it that I'm wanting by chasing? Because remember, when we're chasing, we're seeing something outside of us. We're seeing something outside of us, trying to get something from outside of us. And when we can understand that, we can then turn it within us and be like, okay, I'm chasing. So I'm going to give you like 4 examples for myself. When I was chasing, it was because I was wanting connection with my divine masculine. I was not feeling seen. I felt not good enough. And I was afraid he was going to abandon me. Those are probably my 4 biggest. And in each one of those, I would have to go through and be like, okay, I'm chasing him because I want connection from him. But right now, he's not able to offer me that connection. And that's fine. I had to acknowledge that. And that's fine. It's valid. He doesn't have the capacity to, and that's okay. But I needed to first define what connection meant to me. And what were the ways that I was trying to force connection in my dynamic with him, and perhaps in other dynamics as well. And then I had to look and say, how can I connect more to me? So if this is what it felt like to be connected, how can I do more of that for myself? How can I create more connection within me, but also too within my environment? Because what I really realized was I was wanting deeper connection with myself, but I was also wanting deeper connections with others that were in alignment with me. Because for me, connection is really important. And I had to acknowledge that and be like, connection is really important to me. I no longer entertain superficial relationships. And you know, by me, like, if our relation is superficial, you know, because there's a very drastic difference in terms of how I interact with somebody that's superficial versus how I interact with somebody that I have a really great connection with. Because when I have a connection with somebody, I will invest time and I will invest energy. These superficial ones, I don't have time for that. It's very short and very brief, and you don't know much about me, and I don't know much about you. So for me, I really needed to discover that connection was valid or very important to me. and how did I need to create more of that in my life. So the more connection I had with myself, the more connection I had with other beautiful souls, the less I started reaching out for him and forcing that connection. And I allowed it to happen naturally. The other thing what was coming up really big for me was abandonment. Anytime I could feel him energetically pulling away, it brought up this wound of abandonment from this lifetime with my father, this lifetime with myself, past lifetimes with him, because we have been doing this dance for hundreds, if not like whatever, how many lifetimes together. And so these things come up. But not only that, it forced me to see that abandonment was encoded in my DNA for 18 generations. That no matter how much inner work I did, if I did not energetic release that code was going to be in my DNA, and I was going to pass it on to my children. And so it forced me to see where I was abandoning myself. And there were many, 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 many ways. Then it forced me to heal the abandonment wound with my dad. And to realize that my dad was just showing me how I was abandoning myself, but that was encoded in the DNA. So it needed to be played out in order for me to heal that part. The other part was me not feeling good enough. I had a really deep dive into that, especially when he was choosing karmics over me, being like, I'm not good enough for you. And I realized that stemmed all the way back to my childhood with my mother. I mean, all the way back to like infancy, where I didn't feel good enough. And it's through that not feeling good enough that I actually discovered and started to understand my attachment style and how my attachment style was playing out in various ways in my dynamic with my divine masculine. But everything that I do with my divine masculine, I also realized, like I said before, it was happening in all my other romantic relationships. So I would look at both, because sometimes with my divine masculine, it would be hard to see. So I would look at these other dynamics and be like, this is why. So you have to be able to, in some ways, float above your situation and look down, like as if you were looking at things like a whole, to see things for what they are. And when I started realizing that I never really felt good enough in any area of my life, including my masculine, including my mother, including almost every job that I've done, and just how I felt about myself, I got to really heal this part of me. And this is a part of me that I'm still working on, is not feeling good enough. Because for me, it stems back to other lifetimes. It extends back to my relationship with God. And it extends back to like so many different layers. And so it's like through journaling, through seeing this part, now I can start to recondition and heal parts of me to be like, no, I am good enough. You know, like I think about in my in my serving job. Like, I'm not new to serving, but I'm newer to the place that I work at and with some of the people that I work with. But just because I'm new there doesn't mean that I'm a terrible server. And to realize that I am a great server. I am good enough. Like the people that I serve tell me that, you know, and I need to go back and heal that part of me from my childhood of when I was little, of not feeling good enough. But I want to go back to the attachment style. Because once I started understanding my attachment style, my major attachment style, and I'm trying to think of, I'm going to see if I can find the website that I took. I took a little quiz to find out my attachment style. Like when I did this a couple of years ago, like I was like, I think 50% anxious, like 10% avoidant, and then 40% secure. And now if I were to take it, I feel like I'm like 80% secure, 10% avoidant, 10% anxious. I'm still like avoiding my avoidance. And I can see that like within my masculine, but because these are so small right now, I don't always just focus on that, even though I could probably just heal those parts within me right away. I have other things that I'm working on, like still working on that part of not feeling good enough. But there was a quiz that helped me understand my major attachment style was anxious avoidant. So I was more anxious than anything. And we learn our attachment styles based on our first year and a half of our life, from conception to year and a half. And this influences how we navigate through life and how we receive love, how we give love, like what we do for love. And because I'm anxious, the way that I like to think about it is I always have my fists closed. Like I'm hanging on to whatever it is that I have for dear life, because I do not know when I am going to get that love again. And I will chase after it, hanging on to what I have. I will chase after it. And I will do anything for it. Like when I was little, I would do anything to get my mom's love. Anything. I would make sure she was happy emotionally, taken care of, like the house was cleaned, all this stuff. Like the list that I would do was huge. And then when I realized when I was doing the same thing to my divine masculine, where I was trying to do anything I could to get his love, it was like, I was like, holy crap, I need to heal the dynamic that I had with my mom when I was little. And I needed to go back and to learn how to love myself. I needed to heal those parts of me that didn't feel good enough, heal those parts of me that felt like I needed to earn my love, or to heal the parts of me that felt like love was conditional. And so understanding this chaser energy that we are in and why we act from that place can be very complex, and it can be very overwhelming. But just take it step by step, because when you can see things, that's the awareness part. That when you can accept those parts to be like, okay, I'm codependent, I'm anxious attachment, I have abandonment issues, and you can just accept these parts of you. Like say right now out loud, like, I am anxious attachment style. Like what comes over within you if you are anxious attachment style? There's probably this piece of like, this part of you being like, yes, you're finally seeing this part of you. You're finally accepting that part of you. Because then that part of you like lessens its power and its grip that it has over you. And then you can start to do the healing work. And that's like diving in and journaling about these things, like the amount of tears that I've shed when I've journaled. I mean, some of the notebooks, the papers are all like crumply because of the water from the tears. Allow those tears to flow, because it's purifying you. It's healing you in ways that you don't even know. And then you get to integrate. And the integration process is really important because it helps us balance out within ourselves and to realize that that part is gone. And so other parts of you get to emerge, whether it's other parts of you to be able to heal, or these other parts of you that are coming up that you forgot were there because they were hidden. And so I just want to review, when you're in that chasing energy, whether you act on it or not, that's irrelevant, because eventually you'll get to the point where you want to feel like you're chasing. You'll be like, no, I need to dive in. I need to turn inward. Just see that you're chasing, that you're wanting to chase. And then ask yourself, why are you chasing? Like, what is the reason why that you're chasing? What are you trying to get that's outside of you that you need to actually access inside of you? And whatever comes up, say you're like, I need connection. I really want connection with my divine masculine. And also to evaluate, how are you chasing? Are you coming from fighting? Are you coming from, like simple like questions, or whatever it may be? That's also too medicine within that, because I used to like try to chase after him by trying to fight with him, and I would just poke him in a place. And to me, that meant connection because of how I was raised. I saw my parents fighting all the time and believed that that was connection. That's how people loved one another. And now if I'm chasing, it will be like a stupid comment or a question about like a show that we both like to watch. Because now that I know that he watches one of the same shows I do, I'm like, ooh, maybe I can have this conversation with him. But he's way too smart to even entertain that. So then I'm like, ooh, I'm chasing. And I just see it. And I realize I'm wanting connection. Then I turn within and dive into that. So it's just this process of constantly evaluating where you're at, diving within, healing and allowing these parts of you to emerge. But when you start seeing that you're in this chasing energy, say multiple things come up, because chances are they will. Ask yourself, what is the most important thing right now? What is influencing you the most right now? Because usually what I find is there's one that's like the big like umbrella, and everything else kind of falls underneath it. And once you can heal that biggest part of you, so for me it was abandonment, some of the other stuff went away. Like my need to be codependent, my need to constantly seek connection outside of myself, and like validation and all this stuff, like it healed all these parts of me. And I could then dive into some of those. And some of those, even within there, they're going to be other big umbrellas. And those big umbrellas, once you clear those, then the other things go away. So it's not always necessarily about going after the little things, but seeing what is a major influencer right now. What is a major player in terms of me wanting to chase? And so I hope this video really helped you understand the chasing energy, and to help you dive into why you are chasing and what parts of you are wanting to be seen, what parts of you are wanting to be accepted, healed, and integrated. And if you're wanting to dive more into awareness and inner work and understand my process of, see, accept, heal, and integrate, check out my video on inner work and awareness. And I dive more into that, because I literally go through this layer by layer. And like right now where I'm at in my journey, I'm like, okay, I want to get to from here to there. And then I write about what is it that I need to do? How do I need to start showing up in order to get to where it is that I want to go? Because this journey that we're on, my friends, is never ending. Like once we get to union, it just doesn't always, just all of a sudden doesn't stop. And it's like, oh, we're in union, no. Like we're deepening our awareness in multiple layers of our reality. And so I would love to hear what your thoughts are. I would love to hear if this helped you. What other tools are you needing on your journey as a twin flame? Or what other tools are you needing on your path of ascension? But also too, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, because when you give this video a thumbs up, it helps boost the algorithm and get this video connected to others that have similar interests as you do. And not only that, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because I'm coming out with more and more videos every week. And I want you to be able to get the combination of the inner work and the healing work as well. So that way you can help you navigate this journey in a more beautiful way. And also too, if you're wanting to do some work with me, if you're really feeling called and what I'm sharing is really resonating with you, then I'm going to leave down in the description box below ways how you can get connected with me and how you can work with me. Coming up, for those of you that are on the twin flame journey, I do have a Divine Feminine Twin Flame Circle group that I am starting later on this month, and helping other Divine Feminines get connected to others on the path and really help support one another, give you some tools and resources. And then in February, I have Cultivating Coherence in Your Twin Flame Journey starting. It's a 14-week program where we're going to be meeting live every 2 weeks to do some healing, some inner work, and really deepening your understanding of this journey and how to really create a solid foundation, not only in your journey of awakening, but your journey as a twin as well, and to provide you with some resources and tools to help you navigate this. And so, my friends, I'm sending you all so much love and light, and so honored to be on this path with you, and can't wait to connect with you in the next video. And until next time.